Thanks everybody for joining. My name is Graeme Muirhead. I'm part of the Rye Tri Club board, and very happy that Rich Izzo, who I met for the first time, what, about 8 weeks ago, Rich, something like that.
That sounds about
Um,
right.
yeah, he is very excited to hear that he's taken on through his organization, Toughman, taken on the Westchester Triathlon for this year and hopefully onwards. And I thought it'd be a great idea for him to come on and have a chat with the team members, everybody on the Rye Club about what's going on with Westchester, how he got involved, and then we'll try and do a deep dive into the race, the course, and some of the things that you've learned as you've gone along, as you've picked this up. So, welcome, Rich. Thanks very much for taking the time.
Well, Graham, thank you very much. As Graham said, we met about 6, 7 weeks ago and discussed how we guys can work together. My history is that I used to race many years ago, and from being a racer, I was roped into being part of the Westchester Triathlon in the '90s. And as the case may be, became part of the committee that put it on, and then eventually became the chairman. After about 4 years, and this is approximately in the early 2000s, I passed the torch to Phil Gormley. And Phil did an incredibly good job managing all the ups and downs and challenges of the race and the race organization. And we all know that COVID put a real strain on most events that are out there. And I think that Westchester, since it was basically a volunteer committee, it was always very hard to keep the committee together. And I think COVID put a big strain on that. So it became evident that Westchester was not going to be returning. There are a lot of events that have actually, a lot of grassroots events that have gone away in the last 3 or 4 years, COVID being one reason. We can get into many reasons for that, and Graham and I have discussed this at length. Uh, but in reality, um, you know, I had taken a break from organizing, and then after about 4 years, got very jealous and said I'd like to get back into things. So we started our Toughman brand, and we looked around and said, well, we don't want to do an Olympic because the Westchester Triathlon is around, and we don't want to compete with the Westchester since we love it so much. So we started a long course or a half. We call it a half Ironman, but the first year we called it a half Ironman, we got a letter of cease and desist from Ironman. So
Is that
very
right?
careful.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, because technically they don't own half Ironman, but you don't want to get into a fist fight with the 900-pound gorilla.
Yes,
So
indeed.
we honored that, and we call it a long course, but it's a 70.3 distance. We ran that race from 2008 to 2015 or 16 over at Croton Point Park, which is a perfect location, very similar to Rye Playland in the sense that had multiple municipalities to have to get permits from, and all the politics behind just making sure the event is accepted into the community. But it was a half Ironman. After 2014 or 15, we moved the event to Rockland County, to Harriman State Park, which was a lot easier. It's been a lot easier, and we currently run it over there to run the event because it's one permit. It's New York State Parks Department. So it just makes it a heck of a lot easier to run an event, and for sustainability, that's part of the whole thing. So in all the years that I've watched Westchester, I was very happy to see Westchester try continue and be very successful. And then when I saw that the race wasn't going on anymore, since I live in Rybrook, and a lot of us that work our event had worked Westchester also, so it was kind of a family. We took a look at maybe doing the event, but only if the event was not going to be run, because again, we respected the fact that Phil and the other committee and the other race had been going on so long. But in actuality, it's a big loss to the community not to have the event go on after so many years, because I know I raced the event. It was one of my first triathlons. I really loved the event. And for the last 2 years, I've been going down to Playland on Sundays, cycling down there myself, sitting in the gazebo at Rye Park, looking out on the water and saying to myself, why isn't an event going on here?
You're right.
And basically saying, it's a shame. It's really a loss for the community. It's a loss for the athletes. So we basically looked at putting the event on and what it would entail, because we're still putting on our Toughman event, the half iron event, the long course event, with an Olympic, with a kids race. In the last several years, we hosted the long course nationals, which brought 1,200 athletes, both of the years that we hosted it. I'm not going to even go into details, Graeme, on all the licensing we did for
Yeah,
about
yeah.
2 years, where we licensed our name to 17 other locations and throughout the United States and South America. But um, in essence, we basically looked into how difficult would it be to resurrect this great event. So, in essence, it's not been that hard, because there's a tremendous outpouring of support for the event, and we're really happy to see that. So here we are, about 2 months after opening up registration. We're a little over 50% registered for a capped race. We'll be hosting the collegiate Northeast Regionals. We talked to the collegiate person today, meaning that at this point, technically, we're closed out. We'll continue registration for a little bit longer. And then, I mean, this doesn't count the kids race, which we'll continue to do because we really love the kids race. And I think it'll be a very, very big success this year. Now, there are a lot of challenges still. This is a lot of municipalities to have to go through, and we've already had a site visit with our team and walk through where everything's going to go. And I'll send a copy of that to Graeme, so this way he can share it with you guys. And we've gone on the bike course already and driven it. And we can talk a little about the run course in a minute, but
Yeah.
the bike course is in incredibly good shape. The blacktop is pretty smooth, except for a few sections here or there. And I think we're going to have a great weekend.
That's amazing. That's great. I'm actually, I got to say, thank you very much for bringing it back to life, right? After such a long time that it had been away, right? I'm just very grateful that you did that, and well, whatever we can do as a club to help you, we're here to do that, right? As we said the first time that we met. That's amazing. So just let's start digging a little deeper into the race itself. So that weekend, what formats you're doing the whole weekend, and what formats are you offering? What are opportunities for people to have to race?
We're not really going to change much of anything, because I believe that
Yeah.
the event is successful in
Yeah.
the in the previous format. So the current format will have a kids race on Saturday
Okay.
with bag pickup at Rye Park. So the location will be the same. The swim
Yep.
location, the bike location, the finish line, and the expo location will be exactly the same. So everything will be staged out of Rye Park. The registration area will be in Rye Park, in between sort of Bright Playland and Rye Park, where the registration tent has always been, or
Yep.
has been in the last several years, because there's been so many derivations of this throughout the years that I was part of and other people were part of. But we will change the finish line chute so that this way, when you finish, it'll face the Long Island Sound for great
Oh, that's
photography.
nice. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So, and White Plains Hospital is signed on for medical, so they're going to have full medical coverage. In the water, the swim will be this exact same swim. Well, it'll be triangular shaped, where it'll start out at Wright Town Park side of the beach. Actually, go back a step. The transition area will be the parking lot for the pool, and again, it'll be exactly the same as
Yeah, it's
before.
very similar to other years then, right? Exactly the same. So
Very
there's a
similar.
the kids race on Saturday, and then there's the full distance, and then there's an aqua bike, is there? So what other ones are, yeah.
So on Sunday, it'll be one race, basically,
Okay.
the Olympic distance. but in that Olympic distance, we're offering multiple, different things like
Formats.
formats, like a duathlon, which will be a bike run duathlon format.
Okay.
There'll be an aqua bike, which will be
Right.
just a swim bike with no run. There'll be
Yeah.
relays that are
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have an open water 1 mile swim for
Oh,
anybody
you
that,
are really? Okay, that's
that
interesting.
doesn't want to do the triathlon.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be a good introduction for people that want to do the triathlon eventually.
Yeah.
The other thing that we've linked up with Rye Park, we'll have a swimming program, an open water swim program in the summer.
Right.
And this way you guys can swim and get ready for the event on site. I think it's a minimal cost, but we have that on our website. We're trying to, like as with the Rye Tri Club, we're trying to develop that ecosystem that made the race very successful between 2000 and 2012. And I think that reaching out as to the Rye Tri Club, to the Rye Y is developing a program for you guys to be able to swim, bike, and run there, and lift there, I guess. It's the kind of thing where you guys will race other places, but hopefully we have that
Right.
one race at the end of the year that we're all gearing up
Right.
for.
Right. Yeah. So actually, for one of the benefits that comes with Rye Tri Club membership is every Thursday you can go and do the open water swim. So with the club team, so that's something that we offer as part of it. But if you want to do other days, then you could take up your offer, maybe, Rich. That's a reasonable way of a great thing to do.
Yeah, I think it's good to support the park. I know that
Absolutely,
the
absolutely.
park
Well,
near Russ.
it's so
Uh,
nice swimming there. So it's such a great swim there. It's really a lot of fun. So shall we dig into it a little bit more? So on the Sunday they come into the car park just by the pool, and I remember it well, and that's where the transition's going to be. And then let's take a look at the swim. And so, are you going to start? Is it going to be starting in waves, or how's it going to work?
Waves, but I'm trying to get myself here. Do you guys see that? You
Yeah,
see
I can
the
see it. Well, we can see it.
now? How do I
Absolutely.
get that up? I'd like to go
I
up, up, up.
um
Can't
I don't
rotate that up.
I
That's just a screenshot. It looks
I
like because
yeah.
I'd like to get to the actual courses.
Yeah, you should be able to just click on the course thing there. Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. Course. No, it's not doing anything. It's just showing the sponsor page, which is good for our sponsors. But
Okay.
somehow it's only locked on the sponsor page. I don't know how that happens.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I wish I could get to the other things because then I guys could show you. But maybe you could share it if it's
Yeah.
possible. Like,
Yeah. Let me just give me a second.
and then I'll stop presenting.
1 second.
So, in the meantime, has everybody registered for this race yet? I see one nodding head.
Yes.
Anybody not registered? Well, that's good. I don't have any.
There you go. You've got plenty of. Um, 1 second. I'm not wasn't ready for. Here we go. Westchester Triathlon. I'm now at sign up, so that's no good. Westchester. Anyway, why don't you talk about the swim while I bring it, get it
Okay.
up, and then we
Sure.
can just talk a
It
little
will
bit
be
of.
it'll be
Yeah.
a counterclockwise swim, just like you guys have seen it before, with a dozen or so buoys, with a big swim blow up arch on the beach where the exit will be. We'll run up the beach, up the ramp, and then back into transition where the bikes are, and then bike exit onto I guess out to the circle to Forest Avenue. And the bike course will be almost exactly the same. The one difference is, oh, there we are. Good.
Can you see it? Okay.
Yep, I can see it perfectly. Perfect.
Great.
Great. Thank you.
And Rich, there was a question I think in the chat about the start. I think you mentioned wave start.
Yes, we're going to do wave starts. Yeah.
By age group or big waves?
Well, actually, what I do is I set this whole thing up, and athlete services, basically the person that works for me, sets that up, and that's I've gotten this question in the past for our other races. That depends on how many people are in each age group. So sometimes she merges the age groups together. It just depends. Usually relays are the last wave. In this one, the 1 mile swim people will be the last wave. But it's usually, it's age based on the size, because you want to have enough of the people in the waves to make the wave. Because let's say we do
Yeah,
get
that's right. That's right.
six or
Yeah,
seven
makes
hundred,
sense.
it'll be a 3 minute difference between waves, and or so. And we're still working on, I guess, swim angels. That was something that was brought to my attention. We've never had that in any of our other races, so we're working on connecting with those people. How that works also. I know.
If you're not talking, can you go on mute, please? I'd appreciate it. Hey, if you're not talking, could you go on mute, please? Thanks. So, just one thing on this swim is this practice area so people are going to be able to practice before the start? Because I don't know what it is, but I like to get in and just
Yeah,
feel the water. You're going to be able to do that?
we're going to see about that, because as 7 o'clock start, we want to get in as early as possible. You still have to be in when there's sunlight.
Yeah, yeah,
So if you get people in the water when it's pitch black, it's kind of a hazard.
yeah, yeah.
So
Got it.
I'm not sure that we'll be able to do that, meaning people might be able to get wet at a certain part of the beach, but really not swim in it.
Yeah.
Also, from what I've experienced and seen in the past with our other events, once you get people in the water, it's hard to get them out of the water. We like to start
Indeed.
on time. We
Yeah,
never run late. It's based on telling people and keeping to our word, but it's also running on timelines, running on permits.
yeah.
Um, so chances are that's going to be a no. They'll have
Right.
plenty of time to get in the water prior to the event. With the Rye Town swim thing, and so I would say that's probably a no.
Okay. And then with the one, two, three, four, is that the buoys as they'll be laid
Yeah,
out? So there'll be four
yeah. I mean,
up. Yeah,
this is an
yeah,
approximation.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
We're probably going to be a little outside the jetty based on what I've
yeah,
seen the event do in the past. When we did the event, we used to do, the bottom leg was out, and then we did a dog leg left,
yeah,
and then came in back, and then came in. I never liked that, so we're gonna keep it to where it's like a triangle, but not really. It's like I guess what trapezoid, right?
yeah,
So the
yeah,
it'll be counterclockwise.
yeah.
So
So
that's
then,
that.
yeah, yeah, I get it. Yeah. So you're going to always have the buoys on your left, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
I mean, in the future we might flip everything around. This everything almost exactly the same
It
because
is.
this is
Yeah.
what's been
Yeah.
done.
And so
But
when you come out of the water, you go up that ramp,
correct,
and then run into the car park and get your gear going into transition, right?
correct. Yes.
Okay.
In the
Okay.
past, when I've swam there myself. I swim with a bunch of people in the mornings, and we use I guess the two turrets of the I guess place, yeah, where the children's museum is. We use that to side off of
Yeah,
usually.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so what time will the first wave go roughly?
I mean, we're looking at a 7 o'clock start, but
Okay.
again, that's dependent. These are all details that are going to be fleshed out
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
get to the event, and everything will be sent out in an athlete guide approximately 10 days out.
Right.
The athlete guide will be on. We've got a Facebook page, which I encourage everybody to sign on to. It's a brand new Facebook page, so it's only got maybe 40 or 50 people on it. We have an Instagram page that we post on a lot. So I encourage everybody to go on our social media because we're posting pretty regularly every day, just things to market. But that'll be a source of information. We also pretty much send out 2 emails a month. So if you're not on our email list to get the newsletter, at the bottom of the website, there's a place where you can register yourself and you'll get onto the email list, which will give you all the information. Plus, there's an info button that once you send a question in, that'll go to Athlete Services, and I get a copy of every one of those. So, we usually get back in touch with people within 24 to 48 hours, unless it's an impossibility for whatever reason.
Yeah. Okay. Great stuff. So should
I
we
think
move? Yeah.
Graham,
Yeah.
somebody asked me a question about doing, I guess, the time trial start.
Yeah. Go for it.
We'll look at that after this year, but right now we're going to keep it as a traditional wave start. And I know The person had posted something about standing on the beach. Um, if there's 6 waves, it'll be pretty much 18 minutes. But this is how triathlon is done. So that's what we're going to be doing this year.
Okay. I can't actually see because I'm sharing the thing. So if there's any other questions, just feel free to
Yeah, that
interrupt
was the only one that I saw so far.
interrupt me and let's go on. Okay, so should we move on to the bike?
Does anybody have any questions, by the way,
Yeah.
for about the swim other than
Yeah.
that? Okay, good. We can go on to the
Cool.
bike then.
Yeah, let's go on. Right. So talk about the bike. Is it so has it changed much so that you get off the bike, you basically go into Port Chester and then you have that kind of strange left-hand turn where you go across Main Street.
Yeah,
Is that still yeah.
Yeah, it's Willett Avenue.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I don't know the names of all the roads.
Yeah.
And then you cycle out of Port Chester up that kind of nasty hill and
King Street.
that's it. And so is it all pretty much the same? Is there any change in the course specifically?
No, we don't. Again, to get the race off the ground this year, we wanted to make sure everything was done almost exactly the same way as it's always been done because it's going
Okay.
to prove that
Yeah.
we have some ideas for the future, but we're not gonna go there just right yet. We're gonna see how it flows this year. But I would like to improve the bike course a lot.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, there's only a few ways to do that because to go back and forth and make it 25 miles or 24 miles, there's only one way in and one way out of Playland for the most part. There are a couple of
That's right.
derivations, but for this year, we're keeping everything the same with one exception. At the
Okay.
north at the north end of the course, when you come from Greenwich and go back into Westchester, you'll
Yeah.
be on Route 120. And in the last probably 15 years, there's been a right turn on 120 and then another right turn into an industrial park
Yep.
will be eliminated. It'll just
Okay.
be a straight left-hand turn onto Route 120 by the airport, and that'll take you back, and then another left-hand turn on 120. It's the same road, but it's called
Yeah.
120. But
Right.
it's a left-hand turn, and then that'll be basically the course. And then from there on, it's exactly the same. In some years, it's done some kind of a deviation on Anderson Hill Road and Lincoln Avenue. We're not doing that.
Okay.
So we'll be staying on. In order to be clear, we'll go through the bike course right now, street by street.
Okay.
So when you get out of the pool, you'll make a right-hand turn on Forest Avenue,
Okay.
and then take Forest to Grace Church Street, where you'll make another right turn.
Yep.
Then at the bottom of Grace Church Street, we'll make a right-hand turn on Don Bosco Way.
Okay.
And I forget there's another road, but it's basically the same road back by Costco.
Yeah.
You'll take that road to make that kind of weird left.
Yep.
It's against traffic basically, but the road will be shut down. It's called
Right.
Willett Avenue.
Right.
Cross
Right.
Main Street, make a quick left and a quick right onto King,
Yeah.
around a circle, and then take King Street through Portchester up to Rybrook, and then make a right turn on Glenville Road.
Yep.
And then it's another right turn. It's Glenville Avenue, I
Yep.
think, and the
Yep.
left on Riversville. Take Riversville all the way up. There'll be three nice little hills.
Yes,
One
indeed. There are
at the
three
top.
nice hills. Yes, they are.
Yeah. And then a left on John Street, a left on
Yes.
Bedford Road,
Okay.
and then a right onto, I'm trying to remember the name of the road, but it's by the airport, and then a right, and then a left on 120, and then a left on 120, back through Purchase,
Right.
Manhattanville College,
Got it.
uh, cross over 287, make a
Yep.
left on, it's 120 again.
Right.
Road will split, stay right on 120. That'll turn into Highland Road in Rye. Make a
Yep.
left, and then make a right back onto 120, a right onto Theodore Fremd, a left onto Playland Access Road, and then you'll merge into Playland Parkway back into the actual site itself.
Okay.
So pretty much exactly the same course has always been done, and it'll be manned by police at every major intersection.
That's great. And so I guess the couple of things then that does that climb at towards the end of Riversville, which I'm sure people will stand at the top of. That always gets the legs moving, if I remember rightly. And then is that I don't know if people remember. I don't know which road this is on. You got this big downhill, really fast downhill that goes underneath that bridge. Is that on the? because people have crashed there. I remember in the past. Is
And
that
then
still on? Yeah,
bridge.
yeah. You go on the way back into town. I don't know if anybody else remembers it. It's a pretty steep downhill on the way into town near the college. Does anybody remember that?
Are you talking
Yeah,
about
At
one
Purchase
by,
Street?
yeah,
yeah,
By Manhattanville
yeah,
College?
yeah, yeah. Could be, yes. There's a big downhill under, you go under a bridge, right? And someone crashed a few years ago on it, I think, and
I don't
oh,
know.
I don't know. Never mind. It's okay. It's okay. All right, cool. Is any questions about? It's great. I mean, it's pretty much very similar to the past. So this is great. So people who are
Yeah,
familiar with the course,
we'll,
then
we'll break up
uh,
the bike course into 5 zones for our captains. We'll have 5 captains that'll be responsible for those
yeah,
zones. It's looking like we'll have about 60 to 65 police officers on manning the intersections.
yeah.
And then we'll have volunteers from Manhattanville and Iona College. There'll be another 50 to 60 volunteers. So all in all, staff, volunteers, and police, there should be almost 100, maybe 100 and a quarter people on the
Wow, that's
plus,
great.
plus signage.
That's
So
amazing. Well done, Rich.
yeah,
That's amazing.
Danny Cycle will be the bike mechanic that he'll go back and forth on the course just in case if anybody breaks down. There'll be a SAG vehicle, and there'll be a lead vehicle from WECA, which is a ham radio operators, which will be able to GPS track the first cyclist. And there'll be a SAG vehicle, WECA vehicle with ham radio operators will be able to GPS the last cyclist. So one of the things that is most important when you're on this side of the aisle is to know what's going on out on the course in real time. As part of the registration process, each of you is required to give an emergency contact.
Right.
Um, if anything happens, we have to be prepared for that, so that we can contact your loved one. And we'll have a communication hub off the area at Rye Town Park where that information will be relayed, and that information will be relayed to your emergency contact to let them know what's going on. And White Plains Hospital is part of the event. They'll be handling all medical on site, and EMS vehicles from the different municipalities will be off site, including Greenwich, Portchester, Rye Brook, and Harrison, and Rice City.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions about the bike course from anybody on the call?
Hey, Rich, is the course completely closed for cars?
I was going to be a little sarcastic for a second, but I have to be careful. If you can pull it off and you can pay for it, then we'll do it. But
So
you know how much
no.
it costs? Just to give you an idea, at Harriman State Park to shut the road down, because when we covered the nationals, that was a second year question from USAT. For a 38-mile stretch of road, which is a state park, which gets very minimal traffic, $1 million.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
It's about,
So
crazy.
by the way, if we asked for that, you would never get, the race would never go on. You can't shut down traffic. It's an open road. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be traffic control. There'll be traffic control. There'll be floating road closures, meaning that cyclists will take priority over intersections and moving traffic. That's why we pay for police. We have insurance for those reasons. It's a bike race. However, you are to respect all and every police officer, flagger, volunteer. It's for your safety.
yeah,
So again, I would love to be able to shut the road down, but it has never happened in 34 years, and it won't happen in the future.
I
right.
think as a triathlete, you really don't have a clue about how hard it is to organize these races. So thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, no, look, when they shut down the road for the New York City Ironman, which I'm not sure if any of you guys did in 2012, maybe you didn't even realize there was a New York City Ironman in
No, I
2000.
remember it. I remember it. Yeah, I can imagine what a
Yeah, that was
nightmare
the
that
one and
was.
only year they did it, because it was 99% in New Jersey. And
That's
that
right.
wasn't the reason why it was on 1 year deal, but it cost $2 million to shut down the Palisades Parkway in one direction for 28 miles.
That's crazy.
It's insane. They tolerate us for these events. They
Yeah,
don't encourage it.
they don't encourage. Yeah.
Even with
Okay.
floating road closures, believe me, it's a Herculean. To get the race back this year is I consider it to be easy comparatively, but it's 9 permits.
Right.
Hey,
Right.
and Another question, if I may. What about aid stations?
Okay, on the bike course, we will have no aid stations because there's never been a bike bottle exchange for the Westchester Triathlon. In our half Ironman race, we have a bike bottle exchange because it's 56 miles. It's a much longer event, but there'll be water and Gatorade prior to the event in the transition area, and post event there'll be water and Gatorade as part of the post race, post race food. You know what I'm saying, in the finish line shoot. We're working. We have a beer company, both alcohol and non-alcohol, that's going to be sponsoring the product. But there'll be no bike bottle exchange for the bike course.
Okay, cool. Any other questions on the bike? That's great.
And
okay.
I had one quick question. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
Rich.
go. No, don't. Please, this is for you. This is the whole point. So ask anything you want.
Thank you. I was wondering. No, let me see. I just lost my train of thought. Give me a second. I'll come back. I'm sorry, guys.
So just as a reminder, while you're thinking, your club will be doing 3 previews of the bike course that are supervised. That'll have Sherpas. So you guys have it on the website. We promoted it. We'll be promoting it more. But I think it's a great thing that you're doing that because you guys can see the course. And look, if you're a local person, as we all are, you could do the course every single weekend if you like.
Right.
Yeah. Stefan will be arranging all of that, but there's actually Eventbrite. It's actually on your website, right? But
Yes.
there's actually Eventbrite events set up now. We'll send them round. If you haven't seen them already, for those of you on the call, then we'll send them round a little bit closer to the event to give you a chance to sign up. For members of Rye Tri, they're free. If they're not members, then there's a small charge. So, sorry, go ahead. You were going to ask your question.
I was wondering, are there any cutoff times in this race?
There will be, yes. We haven't put them in there yet, but there will be cutoff times, definitely. Can't have an open course forever.
Right, that makes sense.
Okay.
Hey, Rich.
All
one
of that
more
information will be, if it's not on the website already, we do website edits pretty much every week as things change. If you look under info, you might see it. I don't know. Jacqueline, who built the website, I think she did cutoff times, but I'm not sure exactly. I'd be a liar to tell you the exact cutoff times. I know for our half Ironman, it's 8 hours, but it's 8 hours from the time that you get into the water, meaning that if your wave is, X amount of minutes behind, you're given that X amount of time. Usually we're pretty liberal if somebody's on the run course, and we're going to get to the run course in a minute. But with this run course in particular, we could be much more liberal, and I'll explain what I mean. But the bike course, there's certain time limits that the permits are for, and we will be pulling people from the bike course if they don't make those time limits or they don't look like they're going to make those time limits. And that'll be information that's relayed back to the location, the central location, to determine that. We never like to pull anybody off the course because we want everybody to have a great race. But it's also very dangerous to have people out there for, let's say, if it's 24 miles, if somebody's out there for 4 hours, it's just an impossibility to allow that to happen.
Makes sense. Okay, well, that's a great segue. Why don't we switch to the run course now? Hopefully, everybody can see this now. So
this is where we're changing the entire run course.
Yeah, it did. It has changed a lot. Yeah,
we can be liberal with time on this because it's within Playland completely. There's several reasons for that. First and foremost, in getting the event off the ground, when you're talking about the politics of an event, so to just address what Stefan said before, the difficulty behind the scenes, the event was running for 30-something years without, it had always complaints for people that want to get out and get milk on a Sunday or go shopping, because it does affect them, even if it's just a 10 or 15-minute detour or stopping and waiting. After 5 years off, it's almost impossible you have to really, because people are now used to not having any traffic at all on that Sunday.
Yeah.
So we decided that in order to make it easier for the municipalities, because they're the ones that are going to bear the brunt. And eventually, if they bear the brunt, then we're going to bear the brunt. We took it off the road for several, and that's reason number one. Reason number two, I've been running this particular course myself for the last 6 months, more than that, 8 months. We have enough real estate within Playland to be able to keep everybody in there, and with minimal police presence, which puts less stress on us, the organizer, to
Yeah.
get it approved. And B, the cost is less because now we don't have to have 3 more hours of, you know, Oak Beach Drive and Van Wagenen and Forest Avenue shut down. Even if cars are moving on those roads, Rice City Police have to be out there for those hours. So the run course will come out of the pool, and you'll make a right turn on the boardwalk and run towards Rye Town Beach on the gravel path. You'll turn around, and we'll designate a certain area, but mostly very close to where Barley House is, and then come back down that section and run with the water line on your right hand side. You'll pass where people are coming out from the pool. You'll run the boardwalk down to the pier. You'll do a little out and back on the pier. You'll come back.
That's cool.
Yeah, you make a right, which I'm not sure if you guys have done that in recent years, but we always used to do that. We love it.
Yeah. And I hope there's no fishermen that day. Anyway.
There might be. That's one thing about a state park. You can't close the park.
That's right.
Completely.
That's right.
So you might see a few people out there, but chances are not on, at 10 o'clock or 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then a right turn on the boardwalk. There's a whole brand new boardwalk section that's
that's really nice there. Yeah, that's a nice
Standard
boardwalk.
Amusements, which ran the park until just recently, was responsible for putting that in there. And then that takes you into the Bird Preserve Road.
Yeah.
Bird Preserve Road. It's Edith J. Reed Avenue or something. Now we got approval to run within the preserve itself.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah. So I've been doing that now for at least 9 months. I always used to run in there. And there's a path that's, I guess you'd call it the very north end, that is very flat and is wide enough for traffic out and traffic back.
Yeah.
And that's foot traffic, not car traffic.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to put an aid station at the far end of that when it hits Nursing Avenue.
Right. That's before the gate, is it, or after the gate? There's a gate there, isn't there?
The gate at the park?
Yeah. No, the entrance to the reserve. Isn't there a gate there or something? Oh, I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but there are openings, meaning that there'll be.
Yeah.
The gate
It will be open. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be open to foot traffic.
Okay, great.
And you'll run in that path all the way to Nursing Avenue. We won't go onto Nursing Avenue. We'll turn around in the preserve and come back the same way we came out. We'll continue on that road, make the left-hand turn behind Playland, keeping the water on your left, and then you'll keep on going. We will not do an out and back on the pier. That's only a one-time thing. And then to Rye Town Park, and then you will go to the Barley House and then follow the path around where the showers are, and then around again, and then it's a 90-degree turn into the park, and then facing the water line, and that's where the finish will be.
Oh, okay, that's great. That's
now
that's 6 miles, is it? That's right. Wow, I would.
Now we have to roll it. We get to roll it to get it exact, so it might move a little one way or another.
Yeah.
1-2. But in reality, that's the general consensus of what the run will be.
I think that's great.
There'll be 3 aid stations that you pass twice, so you'll have 6 aid stations. There'll be an aid station within the actual transition area itself. There'll be porta-johns within the transition area. We'll have a bunch of porta-johns, in Rye Town Park at the finish and where the registration area is. And then all the bathrooms should be open race morning, and I think the showers are open at Rye Town Park in case you want to take a shower or something like that to clean off afterwards.
That's great. That's great. Any questions about the run? I think that's really cool. That's really well done.
You took out all the hills.
Sure.
Indeed. It's totally flat.
What hills?
No hills anymore.
There were hills on the run course before when it went down to the yacht club? You'll have more hills on this one.
Yeah, there weren't exactly a lot of hills before. That's true.
I haven't done it before, but I thought that was a bit more. It was hillier before. I thought it can't be flatter than this.
Yeah, there's a little bit of an incline on Forest Avenue coming back, as I remember back in the day. But for the most part, no hills at all.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so any questions about run or anything else anybody would like to ask?
I
Wow,
think there's a
this is.
question from Dan to go back to the swim slide at the end of the presentation. So maybe he has another question on that.
Sure.
You want me to represent it? Let me just give me a second.
Yeah, I didn't have a question. I just wanted to take a picture. Thank you.
Oh, you can just go online. So
You just go online and do a screenshot.
just there you go. Just do it online. There you go. That's
Thank
the
you.
swim. Yeah, got it.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
no problem.
Hey, Rich, one more question on the bike. I assume it's non-drafting, correct?
Yes, correct. No drafting. And we're not going back to the formats. We're not doing a super sprint this year on Saturday. We're keeping it real simple this year. For this year, we want to do our kids race. So getting back a step now to talk about the kids race.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, the kids race it'll start at 9, end at 11 approximately, because it's usually 2 hours. And it'll be loops around the parking lot. And we've clocked it. I actually drove it with my car. And a half a loop, because Westchester never did a 4 to 6 division. But we're doing a 4 to 6 division because we've done a 4-year-old to 6-year-old division. We've done it for 18 years with Toughman, I guess Harriman / Croton. And with that division, we allow one parent to do the entire race with their child. So it could be a push bike, it could be training wheels, it could be floaties. And you'd be surprised. We usually 50 or 60 4 to 6-year-olds that come out and race.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, I remember my kids did they called it a scootathon. They didn't even have the swim, and you did a scooter, then a bike, then a run. So they kept any danger of the swim out of it altogether. But this is amazing. Yeah, the
But
25. Yeah.
Stefan, for 2026, we're talking right now about maybe doing a draft legal super sprint the day before.
Oh wow.
Well,
We're working on something right now. But we have to get through this year first.
Yeah, yeah.
hey, Rich, I'm curious because I have one kid signed up for the 4 to 6, one in the 7 to 10, and one in the 11 to 14. So I understand one parent can join for the 4 to 6, but what about the 7 to 10? Can someone help in like transition, or is
No.
it completely
No.
independent?
Now, transition is once the 4 to 6-year-olds are done, transition is sterilized, meaning that it's just the athletes in there. This is a USAT rule, not ours. If it was up to me, I would let parents help out all the time because it's not usually for us. It's a big deal. But when we've run our other races, the parents can be very competitive.
I've been there.
So
I've been
they,
I've been a coach for kids. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
so
Parents can be
they
crazy.
want to make it. USAT wants to make it as fair as possible, so no outside assistance from the beginning of the race to the end of the race. 4 to 6-year-olds, it's a different story. USAT doesn't really even have a division for 4 to 6,
Right.
so I like doing it because I think it's a great. When you see the 4 to 6 division, it's just crazy how great it is.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Now with
Yeah.
the 7 to 10s and 11 to 14s, we'll break that up into 4 different races. It'll be a 7 and 8 division, 9 and 10 division, 11, 12 division, and 13, 14, because we don't want a 7-year-old racing against a 10-year-old, because sometimes the disparity is that great physically that it's not fair. So we keep them in tighter age groups for that reason. It's been a fun thing to do that, but it's a very stressful thing too, because putting on a kids race, you have to be really super duper safe. That's why that parking lot, and I'm glad you brought this up, the parking lot will be closed to traffic during the kids race from 9 to 11. Not one car will enter, not one car will leave. And believe me, people will be, if they try to leave, they will be arrested. We will not allow a car to be on the bike course of a kids race.
Absolutely.
And that goes along with the transition area too. Transition area will not open for people to leave with their bikes until the last kid is on the run course. And the run course will be on the boardwalk area. So once the last cyclist comes in off the last race, we'll open up the transition area at that point. But it's another thing too. We want all the kids to have a great experience, and it's nice to have a big crowd. It's respectful to the athletes to have a big crowd. So if everybody left for the last athletes, I don't think it's a really nice thing. So
No.
we're very strict. It'll be in the athlete guide that nobody leaves the transition area. No bikes leave the transition area until, that last cyclist comes in, and then maybe even a little bit into the run course. And I'm saying that for a reason, because we always have an issue with that every year.
Right.
So we're going to be very, very strict. The Boy Scouts will be in the transition area for both days.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Well, their Scoutmasters are instructed to be very strict.
Right, right.
I laugh
Well,
about it.
they
But
they probably do that naturally, Rich.
yeah. But I mean, it's crazy how sometimes people will say, well, I have a doctor's appointment, I've got a soccer game, I've got this, that, nothing. There's nothing we can do about it. It's nothing. The transition area will not open until the last cyclist is in and a little bit beyond into the run course. It's a safety issue. So I just want to bring that up so you guys can all understand that. It'll be in the athlete guide, it'll be on the website, but we'll still probably get static, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. Open up to any questions from anybody. Any questions about anything? Rich, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for
Oh,
taking the
you're
time
welcome.
to.
Hey, look, if you guys
Yeah.
want to do this again at any other time, Graeme just set it up.
Yeah.
I'm more than
Maybe we'll
happy.
do it a little closer to
Hey,
the
Graham,
race.
it's
Yeah.
Elizabeth. I
Hey,
have one quick
Elizabeth.
question.
Yeah, go for it.
I was the pesky person posting the question about the swim start. I know the last year that they did the Westchester, they had a shoot where they'd put 4 people out at a time. So I don't know if you would gather in your wave and then you'd go in 4 at a time every like 10
That's
seconds.
right. They did. They did. You're right.
So I didn't know if that was it or if you were just going to have, when I first started doing it, you'd all be lining up in the sand and you just run over the mat all at the same time. Or that was when you started because we all had the horn and we all went in the water at the same time. So I just was curious because I know there's been a move toward rolling starts with the chutes in a lot of races.
I think a lot of that goes back to swim safety, which is fine. Ironman does that mostly because they've got 3,000 participants. We're not looking at that number of participants. When you do a rolling start like that, you don't know who you're really racing against in your age group. So in a way, it's not fair. I never liked that. And personally, we're gonna stick with traditional old school triathlon wave start, where we won't be running into the water. I mean, if you want to run, that's fine. But the reality is you'll be going through a conical chute that makes everybody go across a timing mat. So we register you so we know who's in the water. And then when the gun goes off, when our swim captain lets the gun go off, you'll go into the water and swim, whether it be dolphin style or whatever. Yeah. And then coming out, there'll be a mat and there'll be a big swim arch that you go through. And this way we can register that you're out of the water. There are multiple ways to keep people, to know who's in the water and out of the water. So besides lifeguards, we'll have, there'll be a jet ski with a sled and there'll be a boat in the water just in case you need to be extracted. You're allowed to go over to a kayaker or lifeguard to hold on if you like. You won't be disqualified.
I just have one more quick question, and I apologize if you answered this at the very beginning. You said the race is capped. How many do you anticipate that day? Just curious, participants for the actual Olympic distance.
Well, right now, we'll be capping the race at 500.
Okay. I mean, I'm already signed up. I signed up a month ago, so
Good.
I was using that discount.
Yeah,
Good job. Good job.
Yeah,
Well
and
done.
there's a reason behind the discount. Because in 2023, the people that did register for the race and paid and didn't get a race that year and were promised a deferral, when I heard about this, I felt bad for everybody. So initially we tried to get the email list of all of those people that paid. And unfortunately we were unsuccessful. It would have been a nice thing. I would have been able to target the discount. However, we just decided that we would do a discount to everybody for this year, at least for a certain time period. So I'm glad that you took advantage of that. So, I think barring another hurricane, I just do not foresee that there'll be an issue with canceling the event. In the event that there is bad weather, obviously the municipalities have the right to pull or cancel a certain segment of the race, whether it's the swim, the bike, or the run. In actuality, I've never seen an event fully canceled in my 30 something years of racing, 35 years. We can always do something. And as I told the major permit holder, which is Rye City, even if we have to do a run, we'll do something. We always have to give something to the athletes. And, with a discount or something for next year, if that happens, because we want to make sure that you guys get a good race experience. But, we have detour plans basically in the mix. We have a plan B. If the swim doesn't go on, it becomes a duathlon, a run, bike, run. If for whatever reason the bike wouldn't go on, it would turn into a run. But one way or the other, we're really going to try our hardest to make sure that everybody gets a race.
So I've got to ask one quick final question. I know you guys want to finish up.
No, we don't.
Graham,
What's
this is
wrong?
like
Goodie. What's going to be in the
One
goodie
more
bag? Do you know yet what's going to be in the goodie bag?
right now, you're getting a race. That's what's going to be in the goodie bag. The first year after bringing a race back, it's very difficult to get sponsorship. Mm-hmm. Graeme knows this more than anything because I've been showing this asking for sponsorship for Bank of America. But right now, it'll be minimal. Don't expect much for this year. I know that Westchester's put a lot into their stuff in the past, but to have a sustainable event from year to year, you have to be able to pay for it. And
well, thank you very much. I appreciate this. Since I'm in walking distance of the start, I always consider this my personal race.
Hey, lucky for you. That's great.
Well, Elizabeth, this is the reason why we wanted to bring the event back. Our event at Harriman State Park is a destination event. This one is a community event. And that's why we reached out to Graeme and Maria from Rye Tri, because and the Rye Y also, and we'll be reaching out to other organizations like we obviously the Brighttown Park, Bright Parks Foundation is behind this big time, because we wanted to bring back that community-based feel. Because I've always loved the fact that the community comes out for the event, and I think it's going to be successful. But it's going to take a few years to get going again. And sponsorship is always the most difficult thing to get. There'll be a shirt because we've secured a shirt sponsor. There'll be a swim cap. We've secured a swim cap sponsor and swim sponsor. There'll be post-race beverage. We're working on post-race food. Hammer gels are going to be, there'll be a gel and some maybe electrolyte tablets. Securing other things right now. I mean, as being in this business now for 19 years, we used to have Jardin as our sponsor, our main sponsor. And I knew the sponsor personally. And Jardin, if you don't know, used to sponsor Westchester also.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, and the person behind Jardin was Martin Franklin, and he was the most generous guy in the world, let me tell you. Jardin was a conglomeration of 51 companies. Most of people never knew that Martin owned Paul, he owned Coleman, he owned Mr. Coffee, he owned Marmot. So we got so much stuff through Martin from, running hats. And, I think I gave you guys shirts and running hats or something, Graeme, but this is from years and years ago. To get that stuff today is almost impossible. And with what's going on right now internationally, you can imagine that even our shirt sponsor is under a lot of pressure. We have to order our medals this week. And we're still
Really?
We have to order them this week. They're coming from China. So
you'll have to put the price of entry up.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it's that we won't do that, but the reality is that they'll be double the price because of what's going on. And
wow.
And because we don't, you see, the reason why I think I told this to Graeme, it's so important to have a closed out race like Ironman does every year, or this race used to be closed out with 1,200 or 1,300, is because then you have your numbers all set in advance.
That's right. That's right.
It's got to do with seed money to run the event, but more importantly, how many shirts you need, how many medals you need. In our other race, we have to over order everything because the right now the trajectory is most people, maybe 70% or 60% of the people are registering, and this is for most races right now, are registering within 8 weeks of the event. because guess what? COVID created a scenario where people don't want to spend money, and especially when money is very tight on an event, it's not going to go on. So that's why having a closed out event this year, and that's why capping the event at a little bit lower number than I would have wanted, because financially we'd be better to cap it higher, is we're doing that for a reason. Once we close the event out, we know exactly how many shirts, medals, all of the things that go along with the number of participants that are giveaways, basically.
Yeah. Got it.
And after this year, we'll have a fear of missing out syndrome. That's what I predict. That we'll be able to increase the number of participants based on the fact that this year, once the race closes, we're not really taking anybody else. Maybe a few people here or there, and those people, that money will go into a charity. Basically, that's what because we want to support charities as well.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. The sustainability of these events is becoming more and more difficult based on participation, but it's also the flow of participation. In repeating myself, if you have a closed out race on one day, you could sit back and now it becomes very easy to predict, okay, maybe you order a few extra medals just in case, but the medals alone are costing probably $8 or $9 a medal now, maybe $10 a medal. We were not doing a medal for this race, but then somebody chewed my ear off and I relented. It wasn't you, it was somebody else though. And I said, okay, you know what, I'll do it, because medals cost a lot of money, and we had extras for years, for 16 years, we would have extra medals and thousands of them. You're talking about 10, 20, 15, whatever, $1,000 in extra medals that you can't use anymore.
My goodness.
Yeah.
My
so
goodness.
we made a determination several years ago, Graeme, that we date the shirt, we date the number, but the medals don't get dated anymore. So
Right.
Because most of the time you can't even see the date on the medal anyway. That's the reality.
Great stuff. All right. I think we'll let Rich get to his evening. Guys, thank you so much for joining. And Rich, a really big thank you for taking the time to do this. Really
Pass the
appreciate
word
it.
to your members that we're more than halfway there, and we're really going to be strict with that closeout. And like I said, technically, we're almost closed right now because the collegiate. I'm not in that number that I gave you before. We're not counting collegiate.
Yeah, no, I was wondering about that, right? So
collegiate's not included in that number. No. So
wow.
We could be closed out in 2 weeks for all I know, because the collegiate's going to be over 200.
Well, I really wish you the best of luck. If there's anything we can do to help you, we're here. Okay, so thank you so much.
Next year, get it.
All right.
Take care,
okay,
guys.
Thanks very much. Good night. Thanks very much. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.